What is going on, guys? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Just wanted to come on quick and do a short video on Aaron Rodgers' comments on the Pat McAfee show, taking one final shot at the New York Jets, and specifically Aaron Glenn, before finally ending this thing. So I don't want to spend a ton of time on it. Aaron Rodgers is no longer on the team. My focus is on the NFL draft, but anytime Aaron Rodgers speaks, it's a huge story. So I feel like a part of me would be doing a disservice if I didn't talk about it. And he did specifically mention the New York Jets and call out their current head coach. So anyway, here's why Aaron Rodgers was upset at the New York Jets and at Aaron Glenn. I'll play the clip from the Pat McAfee show, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
So where did I leave you there?
You meet with the coach. You meet with the coach.
We start talking. He runs out of the room. I'm like, that's kind of strange. I was like, then he comes back with the GM. And I'm like, all right. So we sit down in the office. And I think we're going to have this long conversation. I've flown across the country. And 20 seconds in, he goes, literally, I'm talking to the GM about something, and he leans to the edge of his seat and goes, so do you want to play football? And I was like, yeah, I'm interested. And he said, we're going a different direction at quarterback. And I said, and I was kind of shocked. Now, not shocked because I didn't think that was a possibility. Listen, of course, they want to move on, that's totally fine. But shocked because I just flew across country. You could have told me this on the phone. If we weren't even going to have a conversation, and this is verbatim exactly how it happened. So I said, huh? And he goes, we just want to know how you want it released, the messaging. And I said, verbatim, I don't give a shit about the message. And I said, why? And then he said, I don't want to be up in front of the room saying something and have guys looking back at you.
Interesting.
And I said, what does that even mean? Are you assuming that I would be in the back of the room during a team meeting undermining what you're saying? I said, you don't know me. And he said, you don't know me. And then I said, exactly, which is why I flew across the country to have a face-to-face meeting with you to talk about my experience with the Jets and to hear your vision for the team. 20 seconds in. What I thought was going to be a couple-hour meeting turned into like a 15-minute meeting, and I walked out of there. But
so at that moment,
that was a strange meeting for sure. There was no me pleading like, please have me on the team. No.
I don't know.
I don't want any part of that. It was already a debacle in some cases.
So there's a couple quick things on why this is kind of funny to me, because one, he keeps bringing up that he flew across the country on his own dime, like he's hurting for it. And then the second part is he was mad that 20 seconds into their conversation, Aaron Glenn asked him if he wants to play football, which, based on Aaron Rodgers of the last couple of years, feels like a pretty fair question, right? He went into the darkness retreat trying to figure out if he wanted to play after his time with the Packers was coming to a close. He had the injury in his first year with the Jets, and then, obviously wanted to come back. And this whole offseason, and by the way, he's probably still talking while I'm recording this video, he never once said definitively or not whether he's playing football in 2025 or not. He said that he's open to it. There's a lot of stuff going on in his personal life, and like flat out, genuinely, I hope that everything is okay in his personal life. That's tough if he's going through something, but did not give a direct answer. And Aaron Glenn asked him point blank, and we know how intense he could be. Is like, do you want to play football or not? And the answer was, I'm interested, which is, that's not a yes or a no. It's an open-ended question where it gives him an out, which, Rodgers was pretty calculated in that answer. I think we could all agree on that. And then Aaron Glenn's like, all right, we want to move on. We're going to want to go a different direction. And another reason why that he brought up was he didn't want to be at the front of the room in a meeting or whatever, or addressing the team, and guys turn around and looking at him. So the whole point, and something that I mentioned, months ago when we were talking about the Aaron Rodgers discourse, was it has to be Aaron Glenn's team. It can't be anything with Aaron Rodgers, holding over his shoulder, or any questions on whether who is running the ship or not. Because with the New York Jets the last couple of years, they did do a lot of things that catered to Aaron Rodgers. Even though he just said that he felt disrespected by the New York Jets, they went out and brought in Nathaniel Hackett, an offensive coordinator that he loves and that he's, comfortable with. And They brought in, Randall Cobb and Billy Turner and Alan Lazard. They signed him to a contract. And, they went all in with a bunch of veterans last year. And, Tyron Smith and Morgan Moses and Mike Williams. And it didn't work out. It didn't. And I'm sad that it didn't work out. I was, ironically, around 2 years ago, around this time, Aaron Rodgers, mentioned that his intention was to play for the Jets, and then he ends up getting traded to the Jets before the draft. And it was exciting times after a really disappointing end to the 2022 season. But now, a couple years later, things are very, very different. They don't have Robert Saleh and Joe Douglas anymore. And Aaron Glenn seems to be doing something very different, which it's not one player over the rest of the team. They're not catering to a specific player's needs. And Robert Saleh was very, very player friendly, and I think wanted to be, buddies with everybody. And that's not Aaron Glenn. He's clearly a disciplinarian. He's very intense. And that's, again, very different from the approach that Aaron Rodgers was used to with Robert Saleh. And I don't think it was going to work out based on this conversation and that Aaron Rodgers shared with Pat McAfee on the show. So it's over now. Let's move forward and look for the Jets in 2025 with Aaron Glenn and Justin Fields and everybody else. But unfortunately, the 2 years with Aaron Rodgers didn't work. He took a shot at the Jets at the end. He said he was thankful for his time with the Jets and still called it a debacle, which it was. And that's it. That's really all I got. Is I don't blame Aaron Glenn for how he handled this. I really don't. And I think Aaron Rodgers needs a little bit of a reality check if he thinks the Jets disrespected him, because if they didn't fly him out and only gave him a phone call, then it would have been, the Jets couldn't even tell me to my face that they were going to move on from me. So they were damned if they do and damned if they don't. So it is what it is. Let me know your thoughts. I'm Matt O'Leary, and I'll catch you next time.